With the Treasury Minister, Dr. Alex Allison, and a general piece I wanted to do with you, actually, while we have you, with another subject that's coming up later. But, well, you know what's going to be, this incredible situation that you must be seeing now. I mean, I think next to when Alf Cannon was the Treasury Minister with the start of COVID almost, you know, that sort of feeling that this is us looking over the precipice. I mean, how serious do you think it is from your end?
It's a very serious situation we're in at the moment. I think it is very different to COVID. When we were faced with a global pandemic, nobody knew how long it would last for. Nobody knew what the projections were. It was a completely different territory. And during COVID, government had to shut down the economy but keep it supported. I think the various supports that Alf Cannon brought forward as Treasury Minister were remarkably successful. We've seen the economy bounce back very quickly after the end of lockdown. We've seen unemployment stay at record low levels. We've seen vacancies right across the business sector. We've seen a boost in tourism this year in terms of the TT coming back. And so we've got our economy back on track. What we're now dealing with, rather than something affecting necessarily on our island, is things happening on the other side of the world, whether that be in Ukraine with the Russian aggression there and the invasion, or problems in the Far East as well in terms of still the effects of COVID, and now with Taiwan.
We're talking about energy though, isn't it? At the end of the day, we have always been a higher place to live because of the costs of everything like that.
Yes.
The gas, electricity, whatever is higher.
No, you're quite right. I mean, the increase in energy prices that started at the beginning of the year as people opened up after lockdown, but then were really ramped up by Russian aggression in Ukraine, have caused a knock-on effect right the way across the board. So initially it was just oil and gas, then it became electricity in general, then it became transport, then it became food, and it's gone right the way through. However, these inflationary pressures are affecting different people in very different ways, but they're affecting everyone in the same way. Those people on low incomes are most affected, so government support, and 6.3 million has been spent so far, really targeting those vulnerable people on our island who were worried about energy bills earlier on in the year. We've now seen, because of the continued aggression in the Ukraine, that these problems aren't going away. So what government now has to do is step in again to support those vulnerable people in our society, but also make sure that those people, perhaps on moderate incomes, who are now feeling the pinch as well, are given the right practical advice and support if appropriate to get through what could be a difficult winter for many people.
We're bizarrely talking one of the hottest periods that we've had for ages, so obviously people, I suppose to some degree, can start thinking about putting some money away.
And it is that forward planning that's really important. I think from a government perspective, yes, you can do knee-jerk reactions, but they have to be costed, they have to be appropriate, and also they have to be democratic as well. So one of the issues we've been talking about is how we involve Tim Moulton in these discussions. One of the things that the Chief Minister will be doing on Tuesday next week is actually having an extraordinary meeting of Coman. We'll be going through a whole range of options that have been worked up and costed now, and then we'll be presenting that to Tynwald members.
So that's not a recall of Tynwald then as such?
Not at the moment, no. What we need to do is show the complexity of the situation, the way it's affecting both individual incomes, your pocket, but also government's pocket. Our fuel prices have gone up. I mean, one of the recent publications has shown overspends in DOI. A lot of those are about fuel and energy costs that they pay for various other departments. It's going right across the board. So what we need to have is a sustained and coherent package of measures to get us through the winter and into next year that will support all those affected by this. We can't support everyone, though. I think some businesses may well fail due to the economic problems we're seeing, due to the effects of COVID and coming out of that. That's inevitable, unfortunately, but what we need to do is target support, both in terms of making sure we have consumer confidence and business confidence to keep our local economy going.
Right, well, some things are outside your control. For instance, if the UK, and it could well happen, /VAT, you have to follow that, right?
We do. We've got quite a complex reciprocal agreement with the UK, which means to say that it's very difficult for us to make unilateral decisions on the UK. So some of the people have been calling out for VAT to be cut on various things.
You can't do that until
it's very difficult for us to do that within the reciprocal
non-transferable stuff, isn't
it? There is, and actually the FIRSA and the reciprocal agreement has done us very well over a number of years. But it does mean that in terms of, for instance, earlier on in the year when fuel duty was cut by 5 pence per litre, we followed suit. If the United Kingdom government decide to cut VAT or a further reduction in fuel duty, we will follow suit, and hopefully that will feed into benefits for the population. But of course, from a Treasury point of view, with my hat on, that's less money coming into government. At the same time, the government departments are under financial stress, and the Island Plan and the economic strategy makes us want to invest more in our health system, in our education system as well. So it's a complex situation that needs to be balanced for the long haul.
I mean, Jersey had a mini budget, I think.
Yes.
Would you do one at some point, suppose the UK has a budget like that, would you then have to look at your balances in your books again?
We are already. I mean, Jersey have obviously got a different political and tax system to us. They decided to do tax cuts and cuts in national insurance. We've decided at the moment that the best way of helping people is to put the money directly into their pocket through targeted benefits. And as I said, I've already provided 6.3 million. We'll almost certainly provide more as we go into the winter. There is an October statement. We are looking at all the different measures we can use. Tax cuts in themselves are a bit of a blunt tool. We need to make sure that people have money in their pockets that they can spend in the local economy to support local businesses.
Well, inflation. What is inflation at the minute, by the way? What's the latest one-ish?
9.1%.
Right. So any day now, the Manx gas increases are going to go hitting everyone. When they get to September, they're going to start going through. I mean, that's just going to make the inflation rate jump massively again, isn't it? And that will obviously see electricity going up.
It won't necessarily make the inflation rate jump massively. Again, fuel prices and transport prices have been the main drivers of inflation, but this is comparing it to the September levels. We will be comparing it to September last year. So there almost certainly will be a feed through with inflation, but we've also seen some other prices come down slightly. So for instance, the oil prices come down internationally. What we haven't seen yet is that being translated to the half the population who currently heat their homes through oil, to see some of the increases in their prices have been going down. But feedback from the hospitality industry have said they've seen some prices stabilise or perhaps start decreasing again as people get over some of the initial shocks particularly of Ukraine and the way it affected transport links and the supply chains right the way across the world.
When do you feel you'll be able to be in a position to give us the confidence we need to know that the worst is under control and the future looks better? Because, I mean, it is going to hit the Isle of Man worse, as I started with this whole thing with our costs being high in the first place.
I think it will definitely affect the Isle of Man and our economy and people's perception of their own livelihoods. We are actually in a decent situation on the Isle of Man because of the decisions that were made during COVID, because of the way we supported the local economy. It has bounced back to a degree. We have record low unemployment, record high level of vacancies, and healthy reserves. So I think we can weather this storm. What we need to do is use those reserves in an appropriate way to target that support to people who really need it, to make sure that we continually monitor the economic situation on the Isle of Man and respond appropriately. Knee-jerk reactions are not going to help at the moment. We will be making some immediate announcements in terms of additional support to those who are vulnerable in the next couple of days. We will also be making sure that we feed in the policy options and policy decisions to Timor members, and that we discuss these throughout the situation. But also we are in this for the long haul. We have to have a whole range of measures we can draw down on to actually make sure that we provide this level of support and reassurance to all the people on our island as and when we do.